the next thing that I'm going to want to do is I'm going to actually figure out where I am going to mount my scout straps now. So what I'm going to do is, or what I've already done, is I'm going to take one of my straps and I'm actually just going to place it right where I want it. Just like so. And then what I do is I turn it sideways, kind of place something right in the center of my strap, move it out of the way, bring it down, and I know that I want my hole to be center of my stitching. So what I've done is I've figured out where I wanted to mark that hole. I've went ahead and pressed my awl through it, and the reason why I've done that is because I'm now going to take a drill bit and actually drill through there. Now the reason I put the awl punch through there first was more of a pilot hole. That way my bit, instinctively wants to go through that little pilot hole versus off to an angle or anything like that, because the last thing I want to do at this point is run a drill bit through there and be a little off and drill into my stitching or something like that. Okay, and the size of drill bit that I'm going to use for this is a 1364. That's roughly the size of the post of the Chicago screw. So I'm going to hold this thing down flat. Put it on my pilot hole and drill it out just like that. Now, you may want to run your drill bit through here just a little bit, just to make sure you got it good and cleaned out. That way when you go to press your Chicago screw in there, it goes through there nice and easy. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the hole on my scout strap, lay it on there, and I'm going to lay this over the sheath with a belt, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in just one second. Alright, now if you're wondering how I am going to mark that first hole in my scout strap, is what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to run the post of the Chicago screw through my sheath, and I'm actually going to eyeball that scout on there, and I'm just going to press the scout strap down with my thumb, and that will actually put an indentation into the bottom side of my sheath, and then I can just go ahead and line that mark up with my hole punch, snap it out just like that. You can see that it's good and centered. And you can see it sits on there nice, just like that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pop the Chicago screw back out. Now these things are kind of a tight fit, so you're going to have to work with it just a little bit. If you have to use a pair of pliers or anything like that, like I'm getting ready to have to do, just be careful not to mark up your sheath when you're doing it. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and now this is actually another thing I wanted to point out. This is an actual old Chicago screw. It's kind of ugly looking. This is just the one that I use as a template. I don't care if I mark this thing up. I'm going to save my nice shiny ones for when I actually assemble the sheath. So I'm going to press that through my scout strap, and then I am going to go ahead and press that back through my sheath. Now you can also see that this is a longer Chicago post. I want that for this stage because, like I said, I'm going to go back and put a good one in, and the good one actually sits down inside the sheath, it doesn't stick out like this. The reason I want that to stick out like that is because now I can wrap this back around like this and press on it with the other thumb, and it will mark this side. Now, before I go marking that thing, I'm actually going to take a standard size belt, and a standard size belt is roughly about 1.5 inches wide. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my belt on there just like that, and I'm going to bring the scout strap over the top of my belt. That way I know that my scout strap is actually long enough that I can run.
Daddy, what'd you do with this?
Here, be careful, baby. That's a razor. I don't want you playing with that.
What does it do?
Hold on, I'll show you in just a second. But it's what, baby, let Daddy finish this for just a second, okay? But like I was saying, is that will actually allow me to ensure that a belt is going to sit through that scout strap without being too snug or too loose. Okay, so we figured out where we want our hole to be. So now what we're going to do is we're going to connect our sheath. We're going to bring it over to the outside, and with that Chicago post through the hole, now we're just going to mark our scout strap, and we know that we need to trim it in that spot. Alright, now we need to figure out where we're going to put our second scout strap, and this is going to be one of those times where you're going to have to kind of use your brain basically to make sure that when you wrap your belt or your scout strap around your belt that there's going to be enough room. So you don't want to have your strap too far down, otherwise it's going to shorten the length of your strap, and your strap will not be long enough in order to get your belt through. Now with this particular sheath, I found that if I scoot my strap over from center to center, basically 13/16, it's actually a very good distance. So I went ahead and repeated the same process as I did before with using my awl, making a pilot hole, drilling it out and all that. So now we're actually going to make the strap itself. Again, we're just going to take one of our straps, and I'm going to turn the sheath over on the back side, lay the strap down, and I am going to lay it over just like so, and I'm going to kind of eyeball it center, and then I'm just going to come over with my pen and make a mark. That way it is the same contour as the sheath itself. After I make that mark, I'll trim it, go through, do the exact same steps as before by placing my belt through there, rolling it over, marking it, trimming it. Basically the exact same steps as I took for that very first strap. Alright, so we got our straps all trimmed. Now we're obviously going to go back real quick with the edge beveler and just knock that edge off, so that way when we go to burnish everything, it rolls up nice and neat. Alright guys, so we're closing in on a final project here, and at this point I wanted to actually have the knives in, so that way I could actually ensure that this strap was going to fit the handle perfectly, but I have not received them in yet, and I'm just not going to risk that strap being too tight or too loose for that specific handle. So that's just something I'm going to have to go back and do at a later time. But for now, is what we're going to do is we're just going to get the die back out. We're going to touch up the edges where we trimmed, as well as this edge here, and like I said, close in on a final project, start making everything look real nice. Hope you guys are enjoying the cartoons playing in the background. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and move my cutting mat out of the way. Don't want to get dye all over it. And now I'm actually going to go over the entire sheath again with one last coat. That way it will fill in all the little stitch marks and everything else. This is just a light coat. Won't take any time at all to dry. Then wherever it got on the snap, I'm just going to go around with a Q-tip and just clean that dye off. It's really not that big of a deal, but alright, so while my main sheath is drying up with that little coat, I'm going to go ahead and put a little water on these edges and burnish them, and then put a little bit of that edge knot on it as well.
Dada.
I love you, baby. What cartoon are you watching?
It's a movie.
Yeah.
The one that does not have commercials.
The Lion King that doesn't have commercials?
Yeah, that Aunt Cassie guided me.
Oh. Hope you guys don't mind that my daughter occasionally pipes in. If you do mind, tough. I'll never edit her out.
This one I can.
Alright, baby, we'll put it in, okay?
Okay.
Alright, so for burnishing the main edge of this sheath, I'm actually going to cheat again. I'm going to chuck my slicking tool up into my drill. We're going to wet this underside. There we go. Now comes my absolute favorite part. This is when we're going to make all this dull brown really stand out and become a very nice, rich, dark brown. And is what I'm going to apply is this Aussie leather conditioner. Stuff has beeswax in it, and a lot of it are really great nutrients for your leather. And I'm actually going to apply a pretty good amount of this stuff, and then I'm actually going to stick these items in my oven at about 120 degrees and let this stuff absorb into the leather. Take it out, apply another coat, and again stick it in there and let it absorb. And then when we're all done, that leather will be very, very good and conditioned and just be a real nice, dark, rich color. Now, I want you guys to notice how much darker that's going to make it, so keep that in mind. If you want a real light brown, that this conditioner will darken it up a little bit, but you really want to apply some sort of conditioner. Alright, so we are all done, and now it's just time to assemble and put this bad boy together. on the screw side, of my Chicago screw, I am actually going to apply a little bit of Loctite. Now, in my hand I'm holding the high strength stuff. I'm simply out of the medium strength and I didn't want to go to the store and get any. I do recommend that you do use the medium strength. You do not need the high strength stuff, but it's not going to hurt anything by me using it. Give me 1 second, I grabbed the wrong screwdriver. Phillips head is not going to do me very good at the moment. Don't be afraid to get this thing tight now. Strap on. There's 2 straps. And now let's go ahead and do up our dangler. And just like that, you're all done. Now, of course, you still need to go back and do your strap, but that's pretty simple. It's not going to take you all but 15 minutes to trim it, put your snap in, revarnish that edge.